Hey there, picture this. You're heading to your car after a long day at work. It's pretty late. Suddenly, you hear a creepy growl coming from behind a bush. You look back, and what do you see? A colossal 10-foot bear sloth hybrid that can outrun you in a flash. Good news, right? That creature vanished from Earth 10,000 years ago. But let's be real. There are tons of these bizarre and terrifying beings from our planet's history, and you'll definitely want to be thankful they're gone. So today, we're diving into some of the most terrifying, ridiculous, and just plain weird extinct animals. These beasts would make life as we know it utterly impossible. Let's start strong with the Titanoboa. This prehistoric snake stretched up to 50 feet long and weighed over a ton. That's longer than a school bus and heavier than a car. It lived around 60 million years ago in what's now Colombia. And get this, it could crush its prey with unimaginable force, then swallow it whole. Imagine trying to enjoy a nice hike, and suddenly you hear a branch snap. Not from a bear, but from a snake the size of a freight train. Yeah, no thanks. You've probably heard of the Megalodon, but let's get real about just how terrifying it was. This giant shark could grow up to 60 feet long, with teeth as big as your hand, and it had hundreds of them. Scientists believe it could bite with a force of over 40,000 pounds per square inch. Let that sink in. You're out for a beach day, maybe snorkeling, and this absolute unit of a shark is lurking nearby. It makes today's great white sharks look like pet goldfish. Andrewsarchus sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but it was very real. This ancient mammal looked like a mix between a wolf and a bear, with a skull nearly 3 feet long. It lived about 45 million years ago and was one of the largest meat-eating land mammals ever discovered. Imagine running into this thing during your morning jog. With its powerful jaws and aggressive temperament, it's not the kind of animal you'd want as a neighbour. Afraid of bugs? You're going to love this one. Arthropleura was a giant millipede that could grow over 8 feet long. That's right, 8 feet. It lived during the Carboniferous period around 300 million years ago. Now, technically it was herbivorous, but that doesn't make it any less horrifying. Picture one of these crawling through your living room window. You wouldn't need an exterminator, you'd need a flamethrower. This creature is straight up nightmare fuel. Jaekelopterus was a sea scorpion that could grow up to 8 feet long. It had claws sharp enough to grab fish, and possibly even early amphibians. It's one of the largest arthropods ever to exist. Imagine wading in shallow waters and feeling that brush up against your leg. Yeah, suddenly swimming pools seem like a much safer idea. Australia has enough deadly animals today, but Thylacoleo would have taken things to a whole new level. This marsupial predator had powerful jaws and blade-like teeth, capable of crushing bone. It was about the size of a leopard and extremely agile. Picture a koala's cousin, but on steroids and with murder on its mind. Crocodiles are already scary, but Deinosuchus? This thing was on a whole different level. It could grow over 30 feet long and weighed as much as a T-Rex. Its name literally means terrible crocodile, and scientists believe it preyed on dinosaurs. Imagine fishing by the riverbank and a creature the size of a bus launches at you. Nature had no chill. Nicknamed the Hell Pig, Entelodon was like a wild boar mixed with a tank. Despite being related to hippos and whales, it looked more like a demonic warthog, and it had a serious temper. You don't want to meet this thing on a hiking trail. It had bone-crushing jaws and was known to be highly aggressive. Cute name, horrifying reality. Yes, another prehistoric croc, but Sarcosuchus was even bigger than Deinosuchus. It could reach up to 40 feet in length and weighed 8 tons. That's not a crocodile, that's a living siege weapon. If you think gators in Florida are scary, imagine this one showing up in your backyard pool. No floaties would save you. Before mammals ruled the earth, Gorgonops was the top predator. With saber-like teeth and a body built for speed, it dominated the late Permian period. It was part reptile, part mammal, and all terrifying. Think of a saber-toothed tiger, but older and meaner, the kind of pet your worst enemy would own. Dunkleosteus was an armoured fish that lived over 350 million years ago. It didn't have teeth. It had bony plates that worked like scissors. And it could bite with a force strong enough to slice through metal. It's basically the underwater version of a medieval tank. You wouldn't want this fish anywhere near your boat or your toes. Picture a dinosaur with claws 3 feet long, a potbelly, feathers, and a beak, and you've just summoned your worst nightmare. Therizinosaurus looked like it came straight out of a fever dream. Living about 70 million years ago, it was a towering, feather-covered creature with absurdly long claws, some of the longest of any animal in history. Despite its terrifying appearance, it was probably herbivorous, using its claws to strip leaves. But imagine walking through a jungle and seeing this massive creature swinging those claws like a prehistoric scarecrow. Harmless or not, you're turning around and getting out of there. You think Komodo dragons are scary? Imagine one twice the size, faster, and possibly venomous. Megalania was a massive monitor lizard that stalked the Australian outback around 40,000 years ago, which, alarmingly, means it lived alongside early humans. It could grow up to 23 feet long and weigh over 1,000 pounds. With powerful jaws, serrated teeth, and possibly venom like modern Komodo dragons, Megalania was the apex predator of its time. Now picture that thing sprinting at you across a sun-scorched plain. Yeah, camping in Australia just got crossed off the bucket list. Wait. Last but definitely not least, meet Pulmonoscorpius. This beast was basically a supersized scorpion, about 2 to 3 feet long. It lived around 345 million years ago and likely had venom strong enough to ruin your entire week or life. Now imagine walking through your garage and seeing that sitting near your shoes. Not today, Satan. So, next time you're worried about modern day animals, just be glad you're not living in an age when snakes were longer than buses and bugs could wrestle your dog. Which of these creatures do you think was the most terrifying? Or did we miss one that deserves a spot on the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments, give us a like if you learned something new, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more wild history content like this. Thanks for watching, and be glad you're alive today.